Game number 1, Division 7 is back, ladies and gentlemen. MMA against the Rentners. The mighty minion army on the left side in blue. We are in Division 7 and we're going to talk in a second about what exactly that means, because it's been a while. The new season has started. On the left side, MMA with Skrat on Jaina, Rundfunk on Garrosh, 42 on Brightwing. We have Boba Fett on Varian and Mishashu on Falstad. On the right side, the Rantners with LGM on Muradin. We have Cakes on Greymane, Jetsam J on Liming, Desire Kati on Lily, and Hero School on Leoric. I shall Swiffer. Well, and we are in Division 7, and as usual, our little caveat out here, Division 7 is the lowest division in the Amateur League Heroes launch, and again, highly recommended that you actually play in that. These players here are on average between bronze and gold usually in Division 7, so your personal level doesn't really matter. If you're playing with 5 friends, that's fantastic, you can sign up for Heroes launch. If you are only a single individual player, you can participate in the tournament too, and the level of skill doesn't really matter here. So if you're interested, head over to heroeslaunch.gg and check them out. They have a very good FAQ that you can have a look at, and they also have a very, very active Discord channel where all your questions will be answered. But this is Heroes of the Storm, the way it's supposed to be played. This is where you can still find like-minded people that are interested in competition if you want to distract yourself from the shit show that is Storm League a little bit. With that said, we will obviously see a lot of really, let's call it questionable plays and picks when we're looking at Division 7. This is, after all, the lowest league here. So we're going to make some fun about some of the plays here, like this one, for example. Little Dwarf still hops away, stacking his damage taken, apparently. But everybody here is on board with that, so there's always one or two, at least on the YouTube video, that seem they need to be offended on behalf of someone else. You can be assured that everyone that plays in Division 7 is fully aware that this is going to happen, and I get most of the games sent to me are from players in Division 7 that tell me, hey, can you cast our game, can you make a little bit of fun of us, and also just let us know what we should do better. So just that little caveat, since it's unfortunately always needed. If at any point I forget it, I always have a couple of people complaining. But especially if you watch this as YouTube, keep in mind that you are also more than welcome to subscribe to the channel and also give the video a thumbs up. This is a bit different from the usual high-level play, but I want to give the amateur scene also a little bit of a shout-out here. As it stands, there's a couple of things to talk about. First of all, it's actually a little bit ballsy from the blue team to play without a support. They have only Brightwing over here, and yeah, then again on the other side you have Lily. Guys, honestly, there is so many things to talk about already. First of all, we have Smash taken from Varian, and I know that especially on the lower level league, some people still think that talents like Taunt are useless, but let me assure you, if Varian has one talent on level 4 that is actually useful, it is Taunt. If you're playing anything else on level 4 with Varian, there is a 99% chance that you're doing it wrong. So Boba Fett at this point he thinks he needs a little bit more burst damage and goes into that particular talent. But especially with a Jaina in your midst and also a hero like Garrosh, Taunt would be such a great talent for him, because he can pretty much lock a target down into Jaina's burst damage for a long time, and you can even set something up for Garrosh or vice versa. So Taunt would actually have done them a lot of good here, and with 2 damage dealers in the backline, they have more than enough damage in order to pull that off. We are, by the way, on Garden of Terror, also called Garden of the Cursed Hollow Queen Spider, whatever, because pretty much it's a mix these days between Cursed Hollow and Tomb of the Spider Queen. You collect the seeds similar to the tributes on Cursed Hollow, and then you have, well, Garden Terror spawning, similar to the spiders on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Coming back to the game and the hero compositions a little bit, we talked slightly about Varian and his setup at the bottom of the map, where he's also threatening Greymane, who, by the way, shouldn't really be on that lane here. But we have Lily against Brightwing, and there's a couple of things to talk about. Brightwing on a very high level of play can be a bit useful to shut down certain heroes with a polymorph, for example. Can also offer quite a bit of extra soak with the global that she has. but on the low level, not really a hero that I would advertise to take, because it's very deceptive of how much Brightwing can get, and the Fruit Fly usually doesn't really give you a whole lot of value. Lily, on the other hand, another hero that is very lacking in the healer department, mainly because the problem that you have is that targeted heals are not a big option for you, so other supports are much better. Currently in the European meta, 3 of the biggest supports are Ana, Rega and Malfurion. But with Lily, you can at least make the argument that a player that is not really all that strong on the mechanical side just has to hold down the Q button during a team fight and run around a little bit. So especially for beginners, it is a really good hero. If you're super new to the game, Lily is a great starting hero because on the mechanical level, she's very easy to play and helps you to familiarize yourself with the game a little bit. But outside of that, when you start to progress a bit in the game, you should definitely start to advance to other heroes. And as I said, there's a few supports that are much, much better than her. But, well, as it stands, we have 1 kill against 0. There's already a lead for the mighty minion army, the blue team, as they're heading into level 10. And, well, another flip, and this time that might even be a kill. I like the combo, actually, with the flip into the polymorph for the damage. But pulling the same combo off with the taunt would, as I said, even be more beneficial. You could, by the way, swap Brightwing out very easily for Malfurion, for example, and you could execute a similar combo. And in comes another attack, and Varian goes down. Alright. Yeah, well, he's shouting and yelling around the entire time, but in this case, the only thing that he did is die a painful death, and so does Garrosh. Both of them are down. Hero School is schooling the front line with a couple of swisher moves and takes them apart. Top side, we've seen the bird now do his thing. And I want to recommend, by the way, that Falstad has gone into Boomerang, which is definitely the preferred talent on level 7 if you want to get value out of your global, because it allows you to burn down minion waves just so much quicker and also have in team fights a bit more burst damage available to you. We have Decimate on Garrosh, which is another weird pick, especially, I have to repeat myself here, with Jaina. So you have now 2 heroes that are traditionally fantastic to set Jaina up for a good Ring of Frost or a good Blizzard or even a Cone of Cold, and both of them have neglected to go into their control talents. So we don't have the Warlord's Challenge here, no taunt, and we also don't have the taunt on Varian. He's just smashing around a bit, which gives him some damage, but it's really more so a setup for the damage dealer that they're looking at. Even when Varian was played a while ago in Division S or even in HCC, the setup was always to try and secure a setup for a good Li Ming or Jaina combo, and currently the blue team is letting all of this go. Doesn't mean that they can't still win the game, after all their opponent is also playing on a much lower level, but you would definitely be a lot better off if you would try to make these adjustments and practice around them and then execute them in games as well. So as we are having another kill against Varian, we might even see the first minions, or sorry, the first objective come down for the Rantners, as they're trying to get the seed here. In comes the Stormbolt against Falstad, and the bird's the word as Li Ming comes in, connects the Seeker missiles, and gets the kill. Nicely played here. And that gives us the first objective in this game. But also just come back to my point, if you're actually playing in a amateur league team yourself, and you want to improve a little bit, one advice that I can definitely give you is that you get 2-3 players together off that team and you start playing a little bit of quick match, and you just pick Varian with taunt, you pick that Jaina, and the only thing that you really do is you move in, you taunt, and Jaina gets the combo through. You wait for the cooldowns to come up, you execute the same play. Then you add another support into the mix, for example Malfurion, you taunt, you root, Jaina executes. And then you slowly start, and once you have the combo down, to switch out heroes. For example, instead of Jaina, you go for Li Ming, you use a different damage dealer. Instead of Malfurion, you use a different support. Instead of Varian, you maybe use a Muradin or someone else, and you try the same combo. You try to coordinate your abilities a little bit more to get these sniper combos executed, and that really makes you familiar with a particular playstyle and helps you in all of those games that you play to really get value out of these combos that you also see executed on a higher level in semi-professional games. So that would be a big advice. And some teams in Division 7 have actually followed that over the past few months and seasons, and have by now moved up into some of them even Division 4 and Division 3. So that would definitely be one way how you can adjust those things. But well, let's look at the game a little bit more. We have 4 kills against 2 now, level 13 already for the Rantners, and they are currently doing pretty well here. Li Ming went into very good build, super traditional. Again, we sometimes see the level 4 talent changed out into an AWP talent, but Dominance is still quite strong, despite the fact that it was obviously a little bit nerfed. And this should actually be reflected in the damage output too. Yep, 18,000, 19,000, the 2 top damage dealers for the game. Lily mostly responsible for the heals here. And Fawcett is doing some serious damage too. But look for a second over to Varian. Despite the fact that he went into Smash and is trying to smash around the entire time, his damage is pretty much laughable at this point. So if he instead would go into Taunt and really just help out his teammates to secure the kills, they could have a much better position in the game now to get ahead and maybe grab an objective for themselves. So again, if you are not picking Taunt on Varian, you're pretty much doing it wrong. Unless you're just in for the lulz anyways and you don't care about win or lose. But obviously we're kind of assuming at this point, looking at a competitive match, despite the fact that this is on the amateur level, that the players here want to win. Because especially on the lower level, Varian is becoming a kind of okay pick because you can set up these kill combos. But now he died twice, so did Garrosh, so the front line is definitely struggling here. Brightwing also with the Emerald Wind doesn't have the targeted blink kills, which also takes some of the momentum or mobility away that Brightwing obviously has. And here's still our setup on the right side, where we have the red team with another opportunity to pull slightly ahead. It's going to be another fight over here though. Falls at his top side, exactly where he should be by the way. So far away from the objective, can push another wave out and then fly in. But the team should be a bit careful before they take that battle. Take it a little bit too soon, so now that Falstad arrives, Garrosh is actually incredibly low already. So they should have coordinated this a little bit differently, and he should have come in a bit later. But obviously, as you can tell right now, there comes Li Ming. Ring of Frost gets YOLO. There's no setup for it, therefore no connect. And Jaina is down. Greymane annihilated. They're still trying to get some kills here in the back line. And we currently have Muradin completing his quest. Greymane is down, but there's still enough damage thanks to Li Ming. She gets the resetters. They're taking down Garrosh and is looking for another one. Brightwing is eliminated. Fruit Fly is dead, and so is the bird. Hero School tries to at least secure another quick lockdown with a buried alive. Not that it was necessarily needed here, but still counts. 16 talents are in, and with that we have now 9 kills against 3. So looking good right now. At this point we have top side also getting attacked, and this is actually the value that the blue team got through Falstad. Now this is exactly why, or one of the reasons why Boomerang is so good. Because thanks to Boomerang he could quickly burn the wave down. That allowed this entire wave to push forward and start to attack the fort. If not for Boomerang, he would have had to move away much quicker. The opponent's minion wave would have still been there, and the damage to the fort would have pretty much been non-existent. Now the build of Falstad is starting to really deviate a little bit away and doesn't really make that much sense anymore. You can still argue for Giant Killer against Muradin, but traditionally if you really are looking towards auto-attack talents, you would like to go also into Season Marksman on the level 1 stack. But it's 16 versus 16, and that allows at least for an even fight between the two teams, so we're going to get at least that set up here. Li Ming so far not attacked, and you can really tell there's a massive lack of CC now on the side of the blue team. They don't have the Warlord's challenge, they don't have the taunt on Varian, which means that the entire time the red team can just move in and move out no matter what happens here. They have no problems whatsoever with this. Whereas they can still rely on the Entomb, they can rely on Muradin in particular with the Stormbolt setup for all the heroes, and they're just poking their opponent to death here. So one after another they're falling, another seed gets taken. In this case we could finally see the kill against Muradin, and yep, LGM goes down, and that's that. So at least Muradin gets dropped, but it's 4 kills against 10. And Li Ming is now pushed in another wave and already starts to retreat here. And the bot lane, that's where Falstad flies in. The blue team, from a macro perspective, is of course in a good position simply because they have a double glow. They have Falstad, they have Brightwing, and that definitely helps them to execute plays like this, keep control over the experience throughout all of this. And especially since we're talking about experience, we can take a closer look at how exactly that came together here. In the minion experience, thanks to the global, we have 29,000 against 27,000. Passive experience, slightly ahead for the red team, thanks to the structures that they took down. But the big gap in heroes experience, right there. And that's of course where most of it comes through, thanks to those 6 additional kills that we've seen. but also with the seeds now spawning, there's a chance for another objective for the Rantners. They're really strong at this point, and if they can get another fight secured, then they might just be able to push through the first keep of the game as well. But Li Ming is at the top of the map, and they give it up. They give it up, and they try to delay it a little bit more. They try to get the top fort, it seems. But it's 2 against 2 now. Leo is still sitting tight. They are pushing through the top. Get some damage in, but now they have to be cautious, because the entire 5-man is rotating up, and they should know that. But they're a little bit greedy here. They now should play around at least the aura, which they more or less do, but here comes the fight. Leo isn't there. This is a 5 versus 4. This is bad for them. And they lose Greymane pretty much immediately. Again, the Ring of Fail as Jaina doesn't connect it. And you can't really... I mean, you can blame Jaina a little bit, but not all that much, because she doesn't get any help from the team here either. Okay, Leo tries to get an entomb through, block the path a little bit. In comes Lily with the heals, and it seems like they can actually move away from this one. LGM is a bit low. If they can get a kill here, that would be insane. It's a 4 versus 5 still. Oh, and Muradin goes down. So does Leo. 7 kills against 10 at this point. And, well, the big question is, of course, can they still get a little more? Jetsam J gets the kill, and that's the dominance value right there. Survives thanks to dominance, and can turn that around again. Nicely done here. Well done by Li Ming. 0 deaths on Li Ming, 55,000 damage. And now they get the objective. Blue team is starting to push this a little bit. And is starting to push that in aggressively. The red team is starting to overstep a little bit. They were off to a great start. They were exploiting the opponent's weaknesses really well. But then they got greedy at the top, were forced into a 5 versus 4 fight that they couldn't really win here. So at this point, they just need to make sure that they are... I mean, they need to get their shit together. They need to just like slow it down a little bit, defend properly now, and then force a more traditional fight like they did in the previous battles. And those were going well for them. Because, again, there is still a heavy lack of CC on the opponent's side compared to what they could have, so you need to play around that. Well, this is another one of those moments. Why go there? Always think about what can you accomplish here. What was the motivation here? There was nothing. There was nothing to be done. Absolutely nothing. Skeleton swing, even let's say for a moment he connects the skeleton swing with all 4 heroes. What's the value? Nothing. And then you have to still retreat. So that's one of those things, just let it go. If you can't get anything out of it, let it go. You always have to ask yourself, why do I make this move? What do I hope to gain here? And in this case, there was nothing to gain. So that death was useless. It didn't really impact the game too much just now, but it's definitely something that can be avoided. Ring of Frost again doesn't connect with anything, neither did that Hinterland Blast attempt. Cold Snap could of course reduce the cooldown too. False that hasn't even taken anything yet. And well, here we have our little move with the Buried Alive, and Varian gets eliminated. So Varian is down, Buried Alive with a mad value. Muradin, by the way, with a rewind on level 20, so he has now the chance for even more Storm Bolts. I mean, thanks to his baseline, he also has the cooldown reduction, of course, now. 59,000 damage against 52k on the top 2 damage dealers for the teams. And, well, with this, let's see. At least 2 of the quests are already completed for Varian. Also, he went into the Master at Arms right there. A bit of a cooldown reduction for him. But as I said before, taunts the way, baby. This is actually one of the comments that probably hurt me the most when I occasionally check the threads on Reddit after one of the patches when Taunt got buffed, and someone said like, oh, finally the talent was absolutely useless until now. And that just breaks my heart every single time I see garbage like that written, because it is just showing how lacking the knowledge of some players in Heroes of the Storm unfortunately is. There's a reason why every single time you see Varian played in higher level Heroes of the Storm, which granted is not really often, but every time it actually does happen, it's all about taunt, all about controlling the opponent's heroes, and about attempting to getting quick kill setups. So reading a comment on a community website where it's claimed that taunt is the worst of the choices on level 4 shows such an incredible lack of knowledge that it's, yeah, Something breaks inside of me every single time I see stuff like this. But again, lower league play. So if you are only experienced with this, I talked about it earlier, try and practice and train a little bit around it, and you will quickly see how you are heavily improving together with the team. But that doesn't mean that you can't win a game if you're going up against an opponent that is equally making mistakes on that level. We have 8 kills against 12 now. Generally speaking, I'd say that the Rantners are actually doing a very fair job here. But they need to be careful how they engage with these team fights, because it felt that the success in the early game had them maybe a little bit too cocky at the beginning. Stormbolt comes in, here comes the throw, and Mirrodin gets Polymorph but jumps out in time. Moves back in, pops the avatar, and here's the damage. Ring of Frost again, well, actually connects with 1. The problem is that Jaina herself is now in trouble. Greymane went a bit deep, but gets taken down now as we finally have Varian also completing his level 1 quest. The Stormbolt is connecting with him though, and Boba Fett is in a bit of trouble, but they're pushing everybody away again. Leo with the late buried alive, but it's in. Li Ming with the damage output, she drops Varian, but they look for the additional kill, and it seems like Jetson J cannot get it done this time. He was looking for the second kill in the reset and didn't get it. Now Falstad went a little bit too deep, very optimistic from him. And goes down as Mirrodin straight hops onto his head. Yeah, here's the school is also going for a little bit more value here. No interrupt, but the kill against Garrosh. Garrosh down, that's 15 kills against 10 right now. Alright, so far so good. Yeah, Greymane is a little bit optimistic in a few of the engages that he has made so far. This, by the way, is an issue, and so far it doesn't really seem like anybody has really dealt with it or meant to deal with it. It's the minions that finally take the catapult down. But you can actually see that there is still a chance for the blue team to take this. They might have lost the fight, but they at least took the seed, and that was important, since the red team was already holding on to 2 seeds, and that definitely helped. One of the problems here is so far that Leo, now that he has level 20, is a little bit too timid when it comes to his Entomb. It's a low cooldown, and if you're engaging into a fight, it's absolutely okay that you're the first one to really drop it. You can initiate this one. He is ghosting around the backline a lot and then uses the Entomb very late at a time where it oftentimes doesn't really help the team anymore. So having a bit of an earlier Entomb, trying to be the one initiating the fight, is absolutely okay when you're playing the hero here. Ideally, of course, against Falstad or Brightwing, 2 heroes that you can easily burn down while they are silenced. But that's something that he has to try and look for. And this might be the final seed of the game. This could be the moment when the game is decided by the team fight. So, yeah, Leo sees all of that. Mirrodin is sitting at the side. They're taking the camp now. In addition to it, there's already catapults pushing at the bottom. That keep is going to have a problem. This is likely going to get burned down by the catapults alone. But here comes the fight, and now it's time for Leo to just go through and then drop a good buried alive. He's the one who needs to make the play. That's the perfect opportunity. And where's the follow-up? It's non-existent, but they get Garrosh. They get Garrosh, but Greymane dies again. Lili with the heal attempts right here. Varian is moving in. Nobody controls him. Mirrodin is far away from the action, is not protecting the backline at all. Varian is just running Lili down. Hero School is also about to get destroyed here. And that is a huge misplay now from the red team. Mirrodin just abandoning Lilia at this point, and not only Lili, but also, of course, the backline to Varian, and that's the issue. You need to try and control Varian at this point. When he comes in and charges down your backline, quick Stormbolt lockdown against him is going to eliminate him. But a big issue for this is definitely that Greymane and Leo die a little bit often. Especially Greymane has trouble currently getting the value through. But this could be a victory for the blue team now after all. And that is kind of insane, honestly. Given the setup and given how the plays worked out so far, it's a bit crazy that we're getting to this point. But right now, as you can see, 13 kills against 16, and there's still a couple of heroes down, so the blue team is starting to shred the structures and not only want to walk away with the keep in the middle, but likely also destroying the keep topside. That's a big, big opportunity for them to finish it off completely. Leo has the buried alive again up and could use it. Misses it, at least on Boba Fett. And there's the swing. Mace to the face, baby. They're saving the core for now, but they have to rotate to the top and save the keep. And they're more interested in trying to go for another kill. And, well, here comes the aggression against Jaina. She's down. Okay, so far so good. But the big question that you have to ask, of course, now is what do you get out of that victory? They defend the top side. Wow, barely. Bottom of the map, though, is that going to work out? A little bit questionable, but they're going to try. Take the catapult down, that's going to be the most important thing, and they actually do, but yes, they can't keep both. They still have to somehow make it towards the other side of the map to try and take maybe at least this keep down. That would be fantastic if they can make that work. Over to the top left, Fawcett is now getting some value again as he's trying to take one of the camps down. But that's really the question now. Do you take the camps or do you go for the keep? How the fuck did that one die? Wasn't that one safe? Am I blind? Didn't they actually stop it? Alright, apparently I'm blind. I didn't see that happen. But yep, this one is still in. Now, there's a quick move. There's the Entomb, and there needs a follow-up. Li Ming with a combo, and it's not enough. Yeah, team isn't ready for these things. They're definitely not syncing their plays up enough here, but that was a kill opportunity for sure. Li Ming, honest, I think she could have still blinked forward. I don't think she used teleportation yet, but I might be mistaken there. Yeah, 13 against 18, and now it's a 5 versus 5 again. Nobody's pushing through the bottom of the map, by the way. They're just interested in getting the camps, which in and of itself is not necessarily bad, to be quite frank. They need to also defend, of course, the top lane. But especially the minions that travel through the top lane are now important, or the mercenaries, because they will alleviate some of the pressure. But since they didn't pay more attention to the bottom keep, they lost now every single keep in the game. So the Rantners, despite the fact that they defended the initial onslaught, didn't really push lanes out as far as they should, and now they're paying the price for that. So all of a sudden they need to deal with the situation as is. The blue team can aggressively push in and steal one of the camps at least away, and the core takes damage to this. Yeah, the core takes damage. This was a job for Greymane, this was a job for Leo, and both of them were busy on other parts of the map. This is not really something where Li Ming necessarily excels, even though she could have played around Repulsion a little bit more in the damage there. But this is definitely going to be the last objective of the game, one way or another, I would assume. Even if MMA loses this one, it should be the last one. But if MMA is able to delay the game even more, those catapults are going to get more and more momentum for the blue team and will win them the game eventually. So the only victory is a quick kill. Falstad goes down. This is the chance for the Rantners. They have 90% on the core, but there's the kill against Li Ming, and that's their main damage dealer. Li Ming is down. Big problems controlling the opponent. The coordination is just not there anymore. And now they are starting to fall. Damage is gone. Cakes is trying to come in, but he's a little bit too late to the party. That's the end of Muradin, and this is going to seal the deal. I don't even know why Brightwing even goes for this. Okay, he's trying to jump in. They take Garrosh down and Greymane, but with only Lily alive, I have no idea why you would go for that. The only thing that you have to do is really protect the catapults in the middle and at the top and go for the core. So them even trying for just 1 second to channel this is a bit odd. Now they realize what's going on and they immediately make their way over to the right side, trying to take this. Best of 3 series in the regular season of Division 7. And the blue team, despite all of the shortcomings in the way that those abilities or the synergy is not quite used to the extent that it could have, they are taking the lead in the first game, or in the series. Win game number 1 in the best of 3 to set themselves a little bit ahead of the Rantners. GG. And well played. Game on, boys and girls. There we go. On the left side, MMA. They went from one weird comp that didn't make sense to a victory, and now they decided to turn it up a notch. We have Asmodan. And honestly, at this point, I don't really know if they read patch notes or not, because Asmodan is the hero that has probably been hit the hardest of all the heroes after the XP globes. We can explain it in a second, but let's introduce our players first. MMA on the left side with Rundfunk on Garrosh, 42 on Tyrande, Omishashu on Asmodan, Skrat on Gul'dan, and Boba Fett on Reyna. And on the right side of the map, Johanna, played by LGM. The Rantners continue with Cakes on Samuro, Desire Kati on Alexstrasza, Heroes School on Dehaka, and Jetsam J on Alright, Asmodan. Let's talk about him a little bit. Why is Asmodan a shit pick these days? First of all, in the competitive scene, Asmodan hasn't really ever been a thing. There was a time, I think it was in 2015, when on Tomb of the Spider Queen and on Blackheart's Bay, when it was still in the pool, he was actually a really solid choice. But very quickly teams learned how to properly play against him. There were certain changes also to the hero, and ever since then Asmodan wasn't really ever played in any serious fashion. In the lower level plays, we have seen him a little bit more. There was obviously also a few changes. It was like a year ago or so, which changed the playstyle on the hero quite a bit. But especially the experience globes just completely ruined the hero. And, well, what's the reason for that? So, one of the biggest advantages of having an Asmodan in your team... So, first of all, the way that it's played right now is obviously already wrong. So, why is it wrong? What's happening here? Well, first of all, if you play with Asmodan, and let's, for the sake of the argument, just, like, focus on the old style. What you want to do is you want to stack your baseline, and you want to stack your level 1. And the way that you do that is that you actually play with another hero. Meaning you get a Jaina into your team, you get a Zeratul into your team, or the traditional composition would be an Asmodan with a Johanna. And the hero would move in, the first one would move in, would do a little bit of damage to the opponent's minion wave. Asmodan throws his globe out, his orb, and then the opponent, the second hero, dishes out the main damage with his AoE spell, and you get all of the stacks. You do that a couple of times, the damage output on your Orb of Annihilation increases, and at some point, very early in the game, if you execute this combo properly, Asmodan has enough damage that he can easily take those waves down by himself. Then he doesn't need any assistance anymore, he doesn't need babysitting any longer, and does a lot of damage, stacks those talents even quicker, and from then on starts to focus a little bit more on actual connects with heroes to increase his hero damage instead of working on siege. But one of the big advantages of Asmodan throughout all of the changes was always that he is fantastic to later on soak lanes. He can sit on one lane, on Tomb of the Spider Queen for example, throw an orb over to the adjacent lane, take the entire minion wave down, grant the experience and push the lanes out a little bit. And this is something that you also want to do when you're playing on a big map. If Asmodan, for example, participates in the fight around the objective, he can still every now and then throw an orb onto the lane and then soak the experience. The problem is that with the changes in the experience globes, this is all of a sudden not possible anymore. If you fight, for example, over the prisoner camp over here, and you throw a globe over to the lane and take the minions down, you cannot get the experience any longer unless you move them. So Asmodan has lost a huge amount of utility through that experience change that Blizzard pushed onto everybody, even though that nobody asked for it. Which makes the hero a lot worse than he was before. So you can still, if you stack properly, and mind you, we are miles away from Asmodan stacking properly because nobody helps him right now. So we are now in a scenario where he lost a lot of his utility, lost a lot of his strength, and is a very weird pick therefore in this current patch. And especially if you do not help the hero. And this is something that we criticized the blue team for in game number 1, that they actually drafted a composition, but they did not execute synergies. They didn't really help Jaina, for example, to set up her Rings of Frost with either Taunt on Varian in game number 1 or with the Warlord's Challenge on Garrosh. They won the game regardless, but again, their opponents are obviously playing on the same level, so you can still win these games. But if your goal is to move up eventually, you need to work on those issues. Another interesting point is that we actually see Tyrande now. Tyrande with the Moonlit Arrows on level 7. She's also fallen off very much so in the support meta on the European scene ever since Blizzard made the change to move Celestial Attunement from level 7 to level 16. So not a hero that you see a lot. But when you play Tyrande, you're looking normally towards also a bit of burst damage, which we don't have to that extent. But here comes the fight. Both of the teams on level 7. The prisoner camp is up. And let's see who's going to get the lead there. There's a lot to talk about the red team too, and we're going to get to that in time, but for now it looks like Khaldor might actually fall. Iron Skin is being used as Jojo goes a bit deep, but Khaldor runs away just in time. And, well, with that, still attempting to turn this around against the blue team, as they're moving in for this. Li Ming, by the way, with the same hero, already doing great work in the last game, and the story continues. One kill, the second one comes in as Reyna and Asmodan both are falling. And it seems like at least at the beginning this prisoner camp might go to the Radnas. Also, quickly talking about the red team. We have, in this case, now Samuro. And Samuro on a big map can be a pest. He can be a total nuisance. But just controlling the macro aspects of the game and later on take down structures on isolated lanes very easily. So definitely someone that we have to watch out for. In addition to that, we also have a global with Hero School. So they have, so to say, 2 globals that they can use. Maybe a little bit of an overkill on that front line, but still possible. Also in team fights, Samuro can still dish out quite a bit of damage, which we see here. Gul'dan goes down, and they're looking for more. They throw the Haka in. It was actually Garrosh. That nearly backfired against them. Hero School barely misses the tongue against Azmodan. And with 2.4 seconds left, it seems that the first objective is ready for the Rantners. They get the Raiders, and they can move those through the lane. Level lead for them, 3 kills ahead. Bit of a reminiscence of how game number 1 started. But obviously we know what happened there. They lost control of the game towards the late game, and it was a bit of a problem. So Azmodan by now sitting at 100 stacks, 6 minutes into the game. Could be worse, to be honest with you, but at the same time it could be a lot better too. Again, if you draft Azmodan, and I still argue that you shouldn't in this patch because the hero has been pretty much gutted by Blizzard completely. But if you draft him, make sure that you have someone that helps him stack in the early game. It will help you a lot to get value out of the hero, and if you keep him to his own devices, the late game is not going to be a fun one for you, I can guarantee you that much. Mid lane gets heavily attacked, and there's the level 10 abilities. With the Blessed Shield, there's a potential setup from Jojo as they're starting to move through. We also have now the isolation, but they're actually not pushing the agenda. At this point, I could definitely see the red team trying to get something out of that big advantage. If you are that far ahead with an additional, well, with a heroic ability, then you should try and force a fight there. And Jojo does it and goes up against Azmodan at the bottom of the map. He gets wrecked, and they might have a chance to take this one down. Talking about taking things down, top side we see a similar picture as Hero School gets attacked. It's trying to get away, dodges out on the stun, gets hit by the next one, and actually moves out. The dinosaur that could. Oh yeah, baby. So yeah, a little Division 7 match here. This is continuing with more attacks at the bottom of the map, and there's where Samuro is already starting to become annoying. I mean, he's not alone. Obviously, he gets some assistance here, but still, he's getting really good at this. Okay. Obviously, at least the clones help Azmodan to stack a little bit quicker than he normally would be able to against this setup. Also, now with Horrify, there's a good tool for Samuro to maybe keep himself alive. Alexstrasza hasn't taken her level 10 yet either. And with 24 stacks on Gul'dan, our boy is getting some good numbers out too for the completion of the quest. But 2 of the forts have already received heavy damage, both down on roughly 50% HP. And the main question still, if we are gonna have another objective for the red team, as they are already heading to a talent advantage, which would really help them to secure another objective if they can fight around it. So they're going to try and check that out. There we go. At this point, over to the right side of the map, camps are now slowly taken again. Bottom of the map, Samuro is still sitting tight. And Samuro again, he can easily move across the map. Ooh, Blessed Shield had to be thrown out here by Johanna. LGM apparently was worried that he would fall. Gotta be careful with that one. That's a 60-second cooldown that he just burned, just as the prisoner camp is getting activated in another moment or two. Bot lane still ready here. But with that, still no completion on the level 1 talent. Getting a little bit closer to that though. Azmodan, as you could see, he has to move in now for the experience to actually get that, which is why he focuses solely on one lane right now. But that can be heavily exploited by the Rantners if they ever follow up on him and start to go for the attack. And talking about the attack, there's level 13, and that's the big advantage that we spoke about earlier. Now the chance to go for the objective, and they actually should use that. I mean, it's an entire level that you lead. 4 kills against 0, 13 against 12, that's your time to shine. Problem is that they're already a little bit low. There comes the heal with a live binder. Garrosh, this time with Warlord's Challenge. Great choice over the Decimate, and they get the kill against Alexstrasza thanks to it. Lock him down. The problem is that Garrosh might be in trouble himself, but he's able to walk away from this one. More damage against Samuro, and Azmodan is coming in from the side. Deha. Okay, so that Blessed Shield was a little bit memey. I'm not sure why exactly that was needed, but Azmodan was still able to get the kill against Samuro one way or another. It's 2 kills against 4 now. And yep, in comes the move towards the prisoner camp from the blue team side. They won the first game. If they take this one, it's a 2-0 victory. But there's another combo attempt by Li Ming, who gets good damage onto Tyrande. The Haka's at the bottom of the map, so the global experience advantage should come through for them. quest on level 1 is completed for Asmodan. Again, a bit late, but still, he's there. Still working on his level, on his baseline. And on the damage side, 20,000 damage for him right now. And also in the siege damage department, not really that strong. 60,000 right now isn't too horrible, but obviously lacking a bit. There's again the double kill as they're moving in. Unfung is also nearly taken down. A bit of damage by Asmodan, but it's nowhere near enough to really have a big impact for them right now. Yeah, with the 22,000 damage for him at this point, he is not poking as much as he normally would want to. And Asmodan is already moving down to the bottom of the map. But another good example, he throws the globe, and all of this is lost until someone makes the way down there. So this is a perfect example of where Asmodan just doesn't get anything anymore. And this is where he loses the value. So he pushes the lane out, but they lose experience because of that, which means that the gap between the two teams is now only going to widen as the game continues and Asmodan makes more of these moves. So that's a huge problem right now. So instead of having an advantage through the range, his range through the patch is now turned against him. The Hyperion comes out, but that's a pretty YOLO'd move, especially since the camp is already taken, so that didn't help at all. So that's a cooldown that could have effectively been used for the defense, but he just threw that out. It's oftentimes tempting to try and make this clutch play, where you on the last second interrupt something and then might get value. But here it would have been way better to just hold back the cooldown, use it for the defense, play around that. So patience oftentimes a virtue in these situations. But as it stands, with 7 kills against 2, the red team still on the move through the top, through the middle, attempting maybe even to go for the first keep of the game. It's a bit surprising, there's nobody actually here defending just yet, and LGM could maybe anchor the flank a little bit better, but still goes up against Garrosh as he starts to move in. And the bottom and the top, we're seeing solid damage done, talking damage, another good combo from Li Ming. And that top fort is gone. 16 against 14 now, 7 kills against 2. Yeah, and another move through the bottom of the map. As we have at least the gate attacked. I mean, the Raider should be able to take this one down. And it does. Top side, they're trying to go for the Haka, but with level 16 tunneling claws, he can easily get away. So 16 is being used to retreat. And the fight is still on. And Samuro, of course, is still up as well. I mean, Samuro is even joining the 5 versus 5, but I could have totally... I honestly expected Samuro to send a copy down to the bottom of the map and try to push aggressively towards the keep. And throughout this entire game, this is exactly what he should do. Push one lane, let the rest of the team push another lane, not too aggressively, and then simply switch between the copies. So him just simply sticking to one lane and using the Samuro copies to do the damage there wastes some of the potential that the hero has. So generally speaking, that should be extended a little bit more, despite the fact that the Haka is there. But they get the boss taken, and they can now easily move down to the bottom of the map to take a second one if they want, unless they really intend to push through with this one. But with 16 versus 16 talent, it would probably be a little bit more advisable to go to the bottom of the map instead. They can even push with a couple of heroes here, with Samuro and Dehaka, for example, or only Samuro, while the rest of the team takes boss number 2. That would be another play. Because the opponent is now 5-manning the top to try and defend the top keep. But if Samuro pushes these waves out and goes for the keep over here a bit, they're guaranteed to get some serious structure damage in, while at the same time being able to take the boss and then playing around this. The blue team, then again, they are just reacting. They defend the boss, they rotate to the bottom. Tyrande provides them with a vision, they know what's going on here, but it's not like they can really do a whole lot about it. Now that we're 14 minutes in, they're starting to burn this down slowly. The Haka is still sitting in the middle, but the camp is soon going to be up again. And this should actually lead to another objective for the Rantners. I mean, they now have that time. The boss needs to be defended. Here's the camp that gets attacked. The Haka is doing at the top lane whatever he can to force one of those keeps down and push the lane out, which is exactly what he should do. But here we go. Boss pushes in, and the blue team clearly doesn't really know how to react to this. Half of them try to deny this, the other half tries to defend. Nobody is dealing with the top right now. They are just the entire time moving between left and right, trying to figure out how do we deal with this now. And the decision has been made. Defend first and then go straight for the objective. But as you can tell, the Haka is already at the top quite successfully, going for the keep. And as long as the red team can keep the blue team busy, he is going to succeed there eventually. So the only thing you need to do right now is don't get forced into a fight, and the Haka is going to get mad value topside. I mean, as you can see here, another wave comes in and the Haka is going for the structure. Asmodan is the one who's already moving in. Yeah, gets the globe connected here, but the team can immediately move in at the bottom again, which is what they do. They're spreading the opponent thin. And the Haka sitting topside. He's just sitting there and saying, like, guys, I can attack this all day long. Samura is now doing the exact same move at the bottom of the map, and they can always move into this team fight whenever they need to. But keep in mind, they are the ones pushing this. They don't... Oh, that Bliss shield miss was bad. They don't have to. They don't have to fight here. They just have to buy time. But they actually go for the fight. The Haka comes in too. Horrify already used. They're trying to get that damage, and they might just be able to get Jimmy. And they do. Li Ming with the reset. And now that they get maybe even a second kill, yep, there's the Calamity. Garrosh goes down, and so does Gul'dan. And Asmodan, I mean, he is going to fall too. There's the lick, there's the kill. Now the objective is about to be taken again, and the game is just under full control of the team in red. The Rantners are ranting and raving as they're going for another set of raiders. And are also trying to, at the same time, push the top lane, push the bot lane. They're controlling everything here. And they have level 20. Which gives us the Wind Strider. We have also the Indestructible for Johanna, the Contagion already used, and everything is just pointing to a victory for the red team right now. With another 20 seconds left on Asmodan, 10 seconds over here on Gul'dan, they might make their way towards the core directly, but even if they don't, getting all of the keeps would remove the armor talents, of course, quite easily. And the objective isn't even there. I mean, the objective is not even here yet, so once that we're seeing those raiders arrive, it is gonna become even worse. Already in the middle, the push is on. Down here, the fall of the keep is inevitable. Will happen eventually. Nice dodge on the stun. He might still be in a bit of trouble, but he's drawing 4 people right now. 4 people are drawn away. That's the end of the keep in the mid lane. Samuro is already at the bottom of the map, and with every single keep being eliminated, and not even a fort being destroyed by MMA on the red team side, you can obviously guess where this is headed. This is going to be a victory for the team in red. We're going to go into a 3rd game in this series, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, nice attempt at a defense with a Hyperion coming through too, but the boss goes down, and Alterac Pass marks a victory for the red team. The Rantners tying the score to force game number 3. Game number 3, ladies. Division 7. MMA, the mighty minion army with Rundfunk on Johanna, Skrat on Greymane, 42 on Brightwing, Misha Shu this time on a Zebo, and we have Boba Fett on Sonya. On the right side of the map, the Rantners forcing game 3 with Jetsam J on Jaina, LGM on ETC, Cakes on Samuro, Desire Kati on Alexstrasza, and Hero School on Sylvanas. Yep, Division 7 once again at its best. Very small map, but despite that we have a Brightwing pick here. We also see Nazebo, so we could end up with a late game with the Viral Infection. The red team, an interesting combo too. There's a little bit of a few things that are really missing there a little bit. I don't really mind the ETC as a general hero. The problem is I don't see a lot of follow-up. So traditionally with ETC you have, first of all, we have a bit of a Sylvanas abuse attempt where they're trying to take one of the towers down. They actually managed to do that. But there's a couple of things to definitely talk about. Now Samuro on this map is not a hero that you would normally think is going to excel, because Samuro gets more value if the map is a little bit bigger and you can play the macro aspect of him a little bit more. With ETC, it's an interesting setup, because ETC in a main tank role, and again, they're ignoring the offlane ETC for this argument, is usually played in one of two cases. Either you are playing with a hero like Vala and your main idea is to keep the opponent away, trying to just create some space so that your damage dealer, oftentimes a hyper carry, can just make the plays and has a lot of space to work with. The other setup is you are heavily playing around your power slide and you're trying to get a follow-up with this. For example, you play something along the lines of ETC with Malfurion, ETC with Tyrande, you get a power slide into root or stun, and a main damage dealer like Jaina, burst damage, Li Ming, or even Gul'dan can then come in and drop the damage. But both are kind of missing in this case. So personally, I don't really feel like the ETC pick is going to do too much for them here, because the hero doesn't really have the most wave clear. You can on level 7 of course spec into Echo Paddle and play a bit around that, but given other opportunities, these are a little bit short on wave clear for a map where wave clear really dominates. When I compare this to what MMA has on the map, I'm not really the biggest fan of the Brightwing pick in general, and I think on this map it's also not something where I say like, oh my god, I can see what they're trying to do here. So other heroes like Rhaegar would have done way better, especially of course with something on the sides of Johanna. But outside of that, you look at the wave clear, you have Johanna, which is fantastic, you have Greymane, which is great for wave clear too, Samuro, who towards the late game can dish out solid damage, and even Sonya is by no means bad there as long as she can survive. I would probably have traded her in for a Blaze if I could have a choice, but still, if you can't just compare wave clear aspects, blue team is definitely ahead. And that can make all the difference on this map, which is very, very much so hinging on the wave clear abilities of a team and their abilities to push out lane. So we'll see how that works out for them. Now, Nazeebo at this point goes already for the Thing of the Deep, a newly changed talent by Blizzard. We've discussed this in some of the higher level plays. Insane buff to the talent. Honestly, an insane buff. The thought process behind it, I can totally get on board with. Try to provide a talent with some functionality up to the point where it's being useful, and I think that's mainly the baseline stacks that we're talking about here. But that results in a talent that gives Nazeebo a lot of safety to begin with an additional 20% spell power if completed, which is quite easy to be honest. And that is an insane buff. So in my opinion, someone on the Blizzard headquarters was smoking a little bit too much weed when they came up with that particular change. So that talent is just nuts. We've discussed it quite a bit on Battlefield of Eternity, and to be honest, there are of course, especially on Battlefield of Eternity, some other builds that you can play, especially the spider builds if you're mostly worried about your damage against the Immortal per se and you're thinking, hey, I need Immortal damage, can be fantastic for you with the synergy that it adds later. But right now, this is something where I expect Nazeebo to do quite a lot, especially on this map where it's very easy for him to get stacks by just rotating a little bit. Of course, only true when he's alive, because that gang topside is pretty much gonna take him down. So yeah, Nazeebo gets eliminated, but is already sitting at 60 stacks. We have 21 gems turned in by the blue team, and the Randnas with 0 gems turned in. But they're holding an even 50. So that gives them a chance to get the first secured turn in here, if they have an opportunity. And they're going to try and use that. So with level 7 talents in their hands, that gives them a lead. Sylvanas going for the Unfurling Shadows on level 1 and complements that with the Festering Wounds on level 7, which means she is likely going to get a lot more stacks together right now, which on the dagger can help her with the output. But nice, in comes the zombie wall play again. Is he going to adjust the level 7 talent accordingly? That's still a question that has to be answered. With most of the builds, when you see the Thing of the Deep, we actually see the level 7 zombie wall. But right now, bot side, this is where Cakes on the Samuro is still making the plays. And the turn-ins are still coming through on both sides. Both teams are eager to get rid of them. 2 heroes that still haven't picked level 7, by the way. 42 turns in. Rundfunk is now trying to do the same thing. Bot lane is still being pushed out. And, well, right now, there's the wave clear. And this is the big deal. I mean, again, wave clear just reigns supreme here. Honestly, feels a little bit like the blue team forgot that level 7 has hit. So far, 2 heroes not making a move into an additional talent. And those talent aren't, yeah, they are quite impactful. Life funnel for Sonya now. Nazeebo still with nothing. 37 gems against 16. Turn in attempt, and both of them get it. The blue team with the first web weavers, but also the loss of Greymane at the bottom of the map. And as expected, the zombie adjustment. Dead Rush on level 7. But again, the push, and these Sylvanas pushes can be nasty. So in comes Johanna. They're trying to save as much as they can. The problem is they're absolutely letting Nazebo go at the top lane, and you can't just let Nazebo push like this, especially with Web Weavers coming in, so you need to be a little bit more careful about that. They get some value at the bottom of the map, but it opens up an opportunity. And Nazebo still has vision of the opponent team thanks to the mid lane, which makes it even more so interesting that he waited this long to try and retreat. But with them just chasing heroes, the problem still stays the same. They're looking at a setup where this wall is already eating some damage. LGM is also in slight trouble, and since everybody rotated top, they neglected to keep someone at the bottom of the map. And if you played heroes for more than 5 minutes, you know what happens if you're leaving a bot lane alone with, well, any lane alone with an objective plus additional heroes. It gets pretty much wrecked quickly. So, despite the fact that we don't have a single kill for the blue team, they get the first forward, and I generally still like what they have. I'm not saying that there is no chance for the red team to win. I really think there is, especially with Sylvanas, of course, and potential objective picks. But Nazebo is going to get insane damage. I mean, again, 7 minutes in, and he has now a 20% damage increase on the spell power. 20% spell power increase for him. So, with level 10 abilities coming in, he goes for the Ravenous Spirit. We still see Leap. We also have, together with that Emerald Winds, no? But Nazebo is focusing so far on the siege damage, has 8,000 hero damage, which isn't horrible considering that Greymane with 10k is the top damage dealer on their side. Sylvanas is the one who with the Unfurling Shadows has done the most hero damage so far in total, and is doubling that easily. But as the game continues, it's very likely that Nazebo is going to crush it. That's a good one. Great setup with Jaina. And especially Johanna, she came in with the Blessed Shield to lock them down. And the Ravenous Spirit gets easy value in that situation. Nicely done. And that's kills secured. 2 in total. So very nicely played. And with 24 gems turned in, I mean, finally, Jetsam J is the one to secure it for the red team. And that was a dangerous situation, because if the blue team gathers a few more gems and gets a second turn in, it might lead to all of the forts getting destroyed, and good luck getting into the mid lane then, without any sustain to fall back onto in terms of forts and fountains to turn in your own gems. So that was a solid setup there. Top side, again, a little bit of trouble for Nazebo. Yeah, he likes overstaying. Welcome to any specialist ever. And here comes the push again. This time from the red team. But there is a lot of wave clear, and again, the wave clear is not only great to simply control the map in the long run, but also fantastic, of course, for the defense. Nazebo not opening the wall here for Jana. Ring of Frost gets YOLO'd out, but actually connects with one. And Nazebo walks away for now. Brightwing with the Emerald Wind. Sonya has defeated the bot lane in the meantime and makes the rotation towards the middle. Do the exact same thing there too. Yeah, and they're looking really good here. Also look at Nazebo. Nazebo is at 120 stacks already. He's still 8 levels away from level 20, but I don't think that there's any doubt that he's going to achieve the 175 stacks on that he needs for the Vile Infection. So very, very easily going to complete that. And that is pretty much all that he needs to really do here in order to have a huge late game. And looking at the damage output as it stands, we have 15,000 for Nazebo. He's already the top damage for the team. Can't quite compare to Sylvanas on the other side, but it's really just the damage that translates into kills, of course, that is important there too. Blue Web Weavers easily turned in and now descending, and that's the second objective for them, plus level 13 talents. That in and of itself is going to make Nazebo's life in particular a lot easier, because he's been having some trouble when he was focused on, and now he has the opportunity to go straight into defensive talents for that. Even more wave clear with the Holy Fury now for Johanna. And we move straight into the middle. Web Weavers coming down. There's, as mentioned, the ice block for Nazebo. So there's defensive chances, and there's the kill! The cow goes down. There's the leap, and there's the follow-up kill. Alexstrasza is dead too. And they're getting another one against Sylvanas as Johanna gets the Condemn connected with her. Sucks her back in, and that's the 4 down in the middle of the map. Nicely done. Great momentum now for MMA. The team able to win game number 1, then getting pretty much crucified on game number 2 as the Rantners turned up the heat and exploited, especially, of course, that Asmodan on the map. But right now is a very different story. I mean, they are crushing through the middle. And this could very well end with a keep being destroyed. And keep in mind, we are 11 minutes in. The keep goes down 11 minutes into the game. Top fort is still there. But for how much longer? That's the main question, since already Greymane is going straight for it. And will drop that too. So yeah, there we go. Keep down, forts down, catapults everywhere. And they also have the lead. Start to take down the walls. Boss, of course, is still up. And once they have level 16, that might be a play. Now they have another 35 gems that they can turn in. Obviously, not nearly enough to get a full turn in. But again, you secure the gems. That's gems you're not going to lose anytime soon. 56 gems for the Rantners, meaning that they could, in theory, get a second turn in for themselves. But the question is, can they really make it happen? That's the big one. There's another example, by the way, that experience gets lost to the red team that they normally would get. They had heroes in range to soak the experience as the minion died, but they are not in range to really collect the globe completely. So that's a problem for them. The Ring of YOLO, and well, you YOLO a little bit too hard, my friend. No connect, and Jaina falls. That's a lot of gems down the drain, and holy shit, they lose everything. They just lost 56 gems, ladies and gentlemen. 56 gems down, the mid lane open, 4 heroes eliminated, camp pushing through. That should be game, that has to be game, that will be game. 16 against 14 with Greymane in the team. How can you not end right here? The Zeebo's a little bit sad because it means he doesn't get the Vital Infection. He sits at 150 stacks, but he still has the top damage for the team. They go for it in a quick and easy kill as the mighty minion army takes down the Rantners with a 2-1 victory in Division 7. GG and well played.